carbon dioxide are obviously imposing a cost on the earth, on humanity, on this generation and the next generation.
The number of environmental refugees to more than 250 million people. The shortage...
CO2 is invisible, tasteless, and odorless, which has helped keep the truth about what it is doing to our climate out of sight and out of mind. Moreover, the catastrophe now threatening us is unprecedented, and we often confuse the unprecedented with the improbable. We also find it hard to imagine making the massive changes that are now necessary to solve the crisis. And when large truths are genuinely inconvenient, whole societies can, at least for a time, ignore them. And still, we have remained largely oblivious to the impact of our cumulative actions. Now we and the Earth's climate are locked in a relationship familiar to war planners, mutually assured destruction.
A warming skeptic in Congress says he'll ask for an investigation into allegations that some scientists have purposely overstated the data supporting the theory of man-made climate change. Oklahoma Republican Senator James Inhofe is referring to information discovered by computer hackers who reportedly broke into a server at a well-respected climate change research center in Britain. One of the emails found and posted from Center Director Phil Jones refers to a technique, quote, hide the decline in recent global temperatures. Jones wrote that in compiling new data, he had used what he called the trick of adding in temperatures from different time periods to hide the decline. Inhofe points to all that to bolster his suspicion that the UN and its climate change panel, quote, cooked the science to make this thing look as if the science was settled, when all the time we knew it was not.
All around the world, there is a rising movement of people determined to solve this crisis.
There is actually more scientific agreement. There seems to be less political agreement.
The notion of a warming, the notion that a warming is catastrophic, is sort of drilled in to people to the point where it seems surprising that anyone would question it. And yet underlying it is very little evidence at all. In fact, there's ample evidence to the contrary.
Now, one thing I'm not going to do in this presentation is to say that we can screw up the environment as much as we feel like, that we can just make a mess and pollute and take profit from messing up.
Are you real concerned about this global warming?
I'm only concerned about the incredible frenzy and hype for something that's a total myth.
These scientists are telling the people of every nation that global warming caused by human activities is becoming a serious threat to our common future.
He's John Coleman, and he founded the Weather Channel. My favorite channel, has some of the hottest women there. And now he works as a weatherman for KUSI-TV in San Diego. He knows warm fronts like I know cold cuts. So, John, why do you want to sue Al Gore?
Well, the deal is this, Greg. We have tried and tried and tried to get a debate on global warming with scientists on the other side. Al Gore or any of the scientists behind him over at the UN IPCC, we'd love to have a debate with them, but they say, oh no, the debate is over.
Yeah.
Well, now there are 30,000 of us. We have 30,000 scientists, 9,000 PhDs, who have signed up to debunk global warming.
So if you look at 1,000 years worth of temperature and compare it to 1,000 years of CO2, you can see how closely they fit together.
You can disprove the CO2 and the global warming.
That's right. It has now been disproved, not by me, I should say, but by Professor Richard Lindzen of MIT. Now, you saw the economic calculations I showed you on the Lord board up there.
My head hurt.
And that's very, very simple. It just says 1 trillion tons, 1 Fahrenheit degree of warming foregone, and that means there's no point in trying to do anything about it. But now, if we can go to the Wise Up window, I'd like to show you a graph from Lindzen's paper. Now, what you see there is there are 11 separate computer models graphed there, and they all show that as temperature rises at the sea surface from left to right along the bottom there, then the outgoing radiation at the top of the atmosphere is predicted to fall because all the greenhouse gases in the atmosphere that we're putting there are stopping the radiation from getting out. But these are predictions by the Xbox 360s and PlayStations of the UN. It's what I call globalized groupthink. There is no scientific basis for this. Indeed, it contravenes the laws of thermodynamics.
So, I mean, I'm sorry for being such an idiot here, but that makes no sense to me. Let me just see if I have it right.
Okay.
The red line going down is the prediction, right?
That's right, yes.
And it means that what's escaping out into space,
you get less and less escaping out into space as the temperature increases. As the temperature increases, less and less radiation gets out to space.
Right.
Because the greenhouse gases thicken because of the temperature increasing, and they stop it getting out. That's the prediction. That's the actual theory. If you don't predict that, you can't say there's a problem with CO2.
All right.
If we could have the next slide, I'll show you what really happens. And now look in the middle there. That is a measured result. It took 20 years to compile that one little graph. Professor Richard Lindzen of MIT, the foremost meteorologist in the world, he knows more about this than anyone else alive. He took 20 years. He had to wait until he had enough data points that he could do that graph reliably. And it shows that as the temperature increases, so the amount of radiation going out into space also increases.